Okay, boys, we're going to go over the Chapter 9 test step by step. I want to make sure that you understand this, which from the test results I do not see, and I'm very concerned. So number one, I've got y equals negative 2x squared plus 1. Just like always, like every single time that we taught this, the first thing you're going to do is find the axis, which is negative b over 2a. There is no b here. So that means b is 0. 0 over anything is 0. That's my axis. My vertex. My vertex is my negative b over 2a, and then when I plug that back into the equation, I find y, which is 1. My y-intercept is the y value when x is 0, which is 0, 1. When the vertex and the y-intercept are the same, you must make a table and just choose one value. I chose x as 1. When x is 1, 1 squared is 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, plus 1 is negative 1. So 0, 1 is my vertex. My axis is x equals 0. My y-intercept is 0, 1. 1, negative 1. Then the mirror image over here on this side. And then boom, you're done. Not so difficult if you follow directions. Number two was even easier. You've got y equals 3x squared plus 6x. So my axis of symmetry is negative b over 2a, so x equals negative 1. My vertex is, bless you, negative 1. When x is negative 1, negative 1 squared is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. My y-intercept is the y value when x is 0. When x is 0, y is 0. So I'm going to go back to this one and graph it here in blue. So my axis of symmetry is negative 1. My vertex is negative 1, negative 3. My y-intercept is 0, 0. Mirror image. If that point is 1 to the right of the axis, you go 1 to the left of the axis, and there it is. Now, one thing that I noticed, on number 1, a lot of you graphed something that was pointing up. How could that be when I taught you that if a is negative, it must point downwards? For number 2, several of you graphed it going downwards. How can that be? If the a is positive, it moves upwards. It opens upwards. Little things like that tell me that the effort was not really where I wanted it to be, gentlemen. Number 3, I told you there would be one ugly one, and this was it, and it wasn't really that ugly. My axis of symmetry here is negative b over 2a, so that's going to be x equals negative 1/2. My vertex, I plug in the x value of negative 1/2, and I plug it in. And I find y with that value. So negative 1/2 squared plus a negative 1/2 minus 2. Negative 1/2 squared is 1/4 minus 1/2 minus 2. This 2 becomes a 4 because I multiply 2 to the top and the bottom. I'm finding a common denominator. This goes to 4. That goes to 8. 1 minus 2 is negative 1 minus 8 is negative 9/4, which equals negative 2 1/4, and that would be my vertex. Then my y-intercept, excuse me, my y-intercept is the y value when x is 0. I saw some people putting the y-intercept 1, 5. What? The y-intercept is the y value when x is 0. So my vertex, remember, we can estimate that axis. My vertex is negative 1/2, negative 2 1/4. So down 1, 2, and just below it, a little quarter right there. My y-intercept is 0, negative 2. And that's a quarter to the right, so go a quarter to the left. And there it is. That's my graph. All right? I don't think that was too difficult. Was it, gentlemen? It was a matter of following 3 steps and knowing how to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. That was all it took for this. Okay. Next. Get rid of this. All right, now we're back to the fun part. Some of this I can do right here on this. I think I can do this on the main screen. I'll toggle back and forth if I have to. Oh no, I can't. I can't do that because, yeah, if I go to Word, I can't record. Okay, I have 9d squared equals 25. It tells you specifically solve by square roots. Some of you guys put into the quadratic formula. That's not what I told you to do. So secondly, I know that you guys don't really give the practice that you need, and this shows me clearly. You're supposed to divide by 9. D squared equals 25 ninths. Take the square root of both sides. So D equals plus or minus 5 thirds. Not 5 ninths, not just 5 thirds, but plus or minus 5 thirds. Number 2, I cancel out a power of 2 by taking square root of both sides. The square root cancels the power of 2. We learned that in chapter 10. So I got x minus 4 equals plus or minus 10. So I add 4 to both sides. Gentlemen, I've got positive 10 plus 4, and I've got negative 10 plus 4. It's a plus or minus. So x will equal 14, comma, negative 6. That would be the answer. For number 6, I add 121 to both sides. C squared equals 121. Take the square root of both sides. C equals plus or minus 11. Done. That's it. It's over. Done. That simple. Okay, number 7, I'll do over here because I don't have space there. I got x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. It says specifically solve by factoring. And some of you, again, decided to do the quadratic formula. But I told you to do it by factoring. So you put your x and x. What times what is negative 2, but when added together is 1? That's a positive 2 and a minus 1. Very good. Then you must use the zero product property to set both of them equal to 0 so that you can find your solutions. X equals negative 2 and positive 1. Number 8, I've got 3x squared plus 8x plus 5. We went over learning one way, and I taught you the cubic method and the column method. You guys chose the cubic method time and time again. Well, if you choose to learn one, I told you you have to actually learn it. That means you have to practice it and actually dedicate some time to it, gentlemen. So the cubic method, AX. 3, the A times the old C gives you the new C of positive 15. What times what is 15, but when added together is 8, positive 3 and positive 5. Artificial factor, I got an x plus 1 and a 3x plus 5 equals 0. So x equals negative 1 and negative 5 thirds. How? Because of the zero product property, you must set x plus 1 equal to 0 and 3x plus 5 equal to 0. Bless you. Okay? For number 9, I've got c squared plus 6 equals 2 minus 4c. Some of you actually tried to factor it in that format. I don't know how that's possible because I have begged you to always turn it into a trinomial. So you must subtract 2 to both sides. C squared plus 4 equals negative 4c. Add 4c to both sides. And then this is going to be c squared plus 4c plus 4 equals 0. And that's a perfect square. That's c plus 2 times c plus 2 equals 0. So you set c plus 2 equal to 0. It's going to equal negative 2 twice, but we don't need 2 of the same solution. It's just c equals negative 2. Done. Done and done. Next, completing the square. It tells you solve by completing the square. It's not like I made you guess. It told you. Well, I've got n squared minus 5n plus b over 2 squared equals 3 plus b over 2 squared. That's all it takes for the completing the square. You just add b over 2 squared to both sides and then solve. This breaks up. I told you the trick. Square root of the first combined with the square root of the second. It's the insides squared. This is going to be 3 over 1 plus 25 fourths. This goes to 4. That goes to 12. That's 37 fourths. Square root both sides. N minus 5 halves equals plus or minus square root of 37 over 2, because the square root of 4 is 2. I add 5 halves to both sides, and n would equal 5 halves plus or minus square root of 37 over 2. And that's that easy. Okay? I'll do 11 over here on this one so that I can have room for it. And that way you guys can see it all perfectly. Okay. Now number 11. I've got v squared plus 3v minus 5, but I'm going to go ahead and add 5 to both sides because the goal is to get the x squared and the x values alone. So I'm going to add b over 2 squared to both sides. This factors out to be v plus 3 over 2. Again, square root of the first combined with square root of the second. Whatever sign is inside of here follows to this binomial. That's going to equal 5 plus 9 fourths. That goes to 4. That goes to 20. So that's 29 fourths. Square root of both sides. So I've got v plus 3 halves equals plus or minus square root of 29 over 2. Subtract 3 halves to both sides. V equals negative 3 halves plus or minus square root of 29 over 2. And I'll do 12 over here. And I'll do it in green. 12, we've got t squared plus 6t minus 11. The first thing I'm going to do is add that 11 to the other side. Then I'm going to add b over 2 squared. b is 6 over 2 that's 3 squared plus 3 squared. This factors out to become t plus 3 squared. And that's going to equal 11 plus 9, which is 20. Square root both sides. T plus 3 equals plus or minus 2 square root of 5. A lot of you guys forgot that. I didn't make you simplify the super large numbers, but this was, come on, man. That's 4 times 5. The square root of 4 is 2. Subtract 3 to both sides, and t will equal negative 3 plus or minus 2 square root of 5. Done with the first half of the test. Give me 1 second. Let me get the second half up right now. Okay, guys, we're back. Now in this one, 13, 14, 15, I'm sorry I cut out the instructions, but the instructions clearly state, use the quadratic formula. I thought this would be the one where everyone at least got these 3 for sure. Because the formula is really easy. It's negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2a. Okay, my a is 6, my b is 1, and my c is negative 2. So negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. Okay, this is going to be negative 1 plus or minus. Square root of 1 is 1. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. Times negative 2 is positive 48. 48 plus 1 is 49 over 12. Well, this equals negative 1 plus or minus 7 over 12. Did I say that you could leave it like this? No! This is negative 1 plus 7 over 2 and negative 1 minus 7 over 2. So my answer is going to be 6 over 2, which is 3, comma, negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4. And I'm sorry, that's over 12. Thank you. Okay? But that's why it's 3 and 12. And no, that's wrong. Come on. Pay attention. It's going to be 6 over 2 is 1/2. And negative 8 over 12 is negative 2/3. Okay, let me do 14 on the other screen. Excuse me. Okay, so 14. I've got A is 1, B is 7, and C is negative 9. Negative B plus or minus, because it's negative B. Negative 9, yeah. Negative B plus or minus B squared minus 4 times A times C over 2 times A. This is negative 7 plus or minus 49 plus 36. It's unbelievable. How many of you went 49 minus 36? And now we're not talking just one time. You kept doing it over and over and over. A negative times a negative is a positive, gentlemen. Even I make mistakes. It's no big deal to make a mistake. But when you have a mistake that follows you for 20 questions, that's a problem, gentlemen, with all due respect. So this is negative 7 plus or minus square root of 85 over 2. Done. Nothing you can do with that. You cannot simplify that any further. Yes, sir. You can't square root the 49 and the 36 because there's a sum there. You have to wait till you have one answer, Papa. Thank you, sir. You're welcome, bro. God bless you. No worries. If it was multiplication, guys, and you... Guys, didn't we already learn this? If I had the square root of 49 times the square root of 36, am I going to multiply those together, or did I teach you, oh, the square root of 49 is 7, times the square root of 36 is 6, okay, so that equals 42. Did I not teach that? Yes or no, guys? Okay, so then, no, you cannot do that in a sum. Only in a product. 15. First thing I got to do is add 1 because I have always said you have to turn it into a trinomial. A equals 1, B equals negative 11, C equals 1. Negative B plus or minus B squared minus 4 times A times C over 2 times A. This is 11 plus or minus. That's 121 minus 4, guys, not plus 4. I don't know where you got the plus from. That's 121 minus 4, so that's the square root of 117 over 2. Now, you can break down the 117 because 9 goes into it. 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 7 is 9. So I can do it, but I'm not going to. I had told you not to worry about it when it was large numbers, and I'm a man of my word. But you had to at least get to that far. Okay? Yes, sir. I know. And now, okay, this was the part that really made me sad. The question here says clearly, find the number of solutions of each equation. Am I asking you to solve? No! How many solutions can a quadratic equation have? 0 real solutions, 1 real solution, or 2 real solutions. And what do we use to determine the discriminant, which is simply b squared minus 4ac. Do I have to put it in a square root or do anything? No, just simply that. Now, for number 16, did anyone even realize that there's an r there? No. You have to make this a trinomial, gentlemen. So I have to subtract r to both sides. R squared plus 3r plus 1 equals 0. Now I can test this. B squared minus 4 times A times C, that equals 5. 5 is larger than 0. There are 2 solutions. 2. For number 17, I have to subtract an x squared to both sides, giving me 2x squared plus 2x minus 12 equals 0. Let's see how many possible solutions there are. B squared minus 4 times A times C. That's 4 plus 9. That equals 100. 100 is larger than 0, so there are 2 solutions here. Let me do 18 on the other screen. Yes, sir. Okay, I want to talk about the extra credit in a second, son. Thank you. Now, 18. I've got 2x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 0. It's already in a trinomial. So b squared is going to be 16 minus 4 times a times c. 16 minus 8 is 8. That's greater than 0. So you have 2 solutions. 19. I've got 3c squared plus c minus 10 equals c squared minus 5. I have to make this a trinomial. So I subtract c squared to both sides. And I've got 2c squared plus c minus 10 equals negative 5. Add 5 to both sides. I got 2c squared plus c minus 5 equals 0. Now we can test to see how many solutions I can possibly have. B squared minus 4 times A times C is going to equal 41. That is greater than 0. So I have 2 solutions. And then last but not least, I've got x squared plus, this is 20, x squared plus 5x plus 6. B squared is 25 minus 4 times A times C. That's 25 minus 24, which is 1. That's greater than 0. Guys, they were all 2 solutions. Now, for extra credit, I had stated to you guys that once you find the number of solutions, if you want for extra credit, solve them. Any method you want. I thought I was doing you a favor. Apparently not. Now, the way it goes is like this. Some of you put 2 solutions and show me no work, or the work was wrong. I gave you half credit. Some of you put, this was my favorite. Some of you guys put, for example, for number 1, okay? They put 0 solutions, but then they went x equals 5 and 7. How does that make remotely sense? How does that make any sense? Oh, I have 0 solutions, but my solutions are 5 and 7. Because 5 and 7 will constitute 0 solutions. That tells me clearly, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm trying to make a point. You guys did not study. You guys did not practice. You guys did not focus. Didn't I make it a point to show you step by step when we learned every method? Okay, guys, x equals 2 and 3, so that means that it goes through 2 and it goes through 3, guys. Those are the solutions. Did I or did I not do that? So then what's the problem here? How can you tell me it's 0 solutions and the answer is 5 and 7, though? So I gave you nothing for that. Some of you, I was very nice. I gave you some credit for the solutions, but you lost credit for the number of solutions. So some of you got no points, or sometimes you got a minus half. But let's go ahead and finish. Whoa, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and finish this sucker, though. Okay? Let's finish this test up. Okay. So I've got 16. 16 is unfactorable. I'm not going to, I don't want to complete the square because I'm going to deal with fractions. So for 16 to solve it, I'm going to use the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. So that's negative 3 plus or minus square root of 5 over 2. Boom. That would have given you extra credit right there. 17. 17 worked out to be 2x squared plus 2x minus 12 equals 0. I went ahead and first divided out my GCF of a 2, which I have taught you to do many times. And that's negative 6 equals 0. Oh, I can factor it. This is going to be x plus 3 and x minus 2, because 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. 3 minus 2 is positive 1. Got to set both of these equal to 0. So x would equal negative 3 and 2. That would have given you some extra credit as well. Let's do 18 now. For 18, I've got 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. That's not factorable, even the Cuban method. So I'm going to have to use the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. So this is going to give me 4 plus or minus 16 minus 8. That's the square root of 8 over 2. The square root of 8 breaks up into the square root of 4 times 2. So that's 2 square root of 2. So I've got 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 2 over 2. Wrong. Over 4. Pay attention. Pay attention, Moro. And now, some of you guys wanted to get fancy. And you wanted to simplify this. Guys, that's awesome, and I thank you. And really, I really do thank you. But guys, do it the right way. This 4 goes to that, and this 4 goes to that. So 4 divided by 4, you're going to be left with 1 plus or minus square root of 2 over 2. That's the answer. Okay? I accepted this one unless you tried to reduce it and you reduce it poorly. Then I gave you half of the extra credit, which I think was fair. Okay, 2 more. 19. For 19, when we rearrange it, it's going to be 2c squared plus c and then minus 5. Again, this is not factorable, even with the Cuban method. So I'm going to use quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. So that's going to give me negative 1. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, times negative 5 is 40. 40 plus 1 is 41. So plus or minus 41 over 4. That was the answer for that one. And last but not least, 20 was very factorable. It's going to be what times what is 6, but when added together is 5, and that's 2 and 3. Zero product property for each. Each of them must be set equal to 0. Each of them. So x will equal negative 2, comma negative 3. And that is the test. Thank you very much, and God bless you. I hope you guys study this and review, because you're going to have a retake of this test on Wednesday. Thank you once again, and God bless you.